During the bye week, do you normally like to work on corrections, or how do you go about a bye week?
Sure. It's a little bit early in the season. I think our bye weeks are advantageous this year. We've had a chance to get through 3 games. I think we've got another one in a 4-game stretch. So as always, we sneak a little bit into the opponent, but everything's internal and work with things that we can improve. Obviously, there's plenty that we can improve from previous games. We go back to base technique, base fundamentals. The best piece of it is the competition piece. We're doing less versus the developmental squad or the scout team. So now we're getting full speed, accurate looks versus our offense of just playing football. On a Thursday, before we had an opportunity for those guys to rest over the weekend, we had a chance to peek at the temple and get ahead. And then obviously I practiced yesterday on a Sunday. So you've got the bye week, so you've got an advanced scout for the other opponent. It was so much about self. How do we improve as a defense? How do we improve individually? Technique-wise, fundamental-wise, and then just the speed and the competition of not getting into the rut of only facing looks versus the scout team and the speed of the practice.
I think we're kind of in a bubble here down in the South, but what is the football environment like at Temple and the brand of football?
Sure. Yep. So we've all lived it, and they do a great job. Obviously, we can speak a bunch about that just coming from there. So they pride themselves on toughness. I think would be the biggest piece, the northeastern influence. So I think they're going to come out. They're going to play really hard. They're going to play really tough. They're going to be really physical. They'll be motivated. I think coming off external things, us coming in and then coming off of a loss. That stadium, that atmosphere, they play in a pro stadium. So they have to bring their own juice and bring their own energy. It'll be interesting to see the crowd and kind of the narrative that'll be out there with Coach Collins and this game coming back. But I think their staple is toughness. So we've got to combat that with our preparation and our mindset. We have that mindset, and we're energized and we're playing fast. We play really good football, as you saw in the South Florida game. If we don't, we leave it up to chance. Next question.
You've had a chance to kind of play with some different pieces at linebacker, and obviously David kind of responded in the last game, played well, but kind of what are you seeing from that group right now, and
Sure.
Are you seeing kind of the progression you would like to see during the season? Is it not quite where you want it to be?
It's a very competitive room. We've got 5 guys that have real snaps. I think going into the last game, David Curry had the most snaps. That was a really nice game for him to play in, having so many reps versus that type of offense. And he was kind of the hot hand. His statistics showed that. He was very productive in the game. He got some accolades, whatever. But he probably played the most snaps. Outside of that, between Wes Jackson, between Charlie Thomas, between Bruce Jordan-Swilling, and the young kid, freshman Demetrius Knight, all 4 of those other guys, so 5 total, were playing real snaps. The snap count is a very small variation. I think David has the peak of those 5 players, and outside of that, the 4 behind him are all right in the mix in terms of snap count over a 3-game plan. So the biggest piece is just getting them repetitions in practice, different formulas, different groups playing together so that they can go out and feel comfortable with each other. But that's our advantage is the depth at that position. So we don't see just one of those players playing every down and being the featured player. Our advantage is we can roll them in and out. They can play really, 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 really hard on every snap within a game. The drive gets extended, and obviously going into the second half, playing at a really, really high level. But pleased with the progress. Obviously, that's my room, so I can speak intimately about it. A guy like David Curry, just his care factor is what we ask for. We're an effort-based organization, an effort-based defense. You need dudes like that have an unbelievable high care factor to make you go. So he's the leader of that room, and the other guys are coming.
Obviously, first year as a defensive coordinator last year at Temple, what were some things within that year that you learned about yourself as a coordinator, and what are some ways that you grew as within yourself?
Holy moly. Good question.
Thank you.
They didn't prep me for that question. Yeah. So that's kind of an intimate piece. I'll get back to your question, but we've got to practice what we teach. Be myopic, be nearsighted, worry about today, be great today. or we'll worry about all the external things of going back to Temple. So that's the message we give to our kids every single day and every single week. Obviously, we've got to make sure that we practice that as coaches this week and not get into the emotional piece of some relationships that we have deeply invested in over there. But again, had 2 years there. First year was a linebacker coach. Second year was promoted to defense coordinator. And we went through a lot throughout that year. You learn things about yourself. How can I play? How can I play call better? How can I organize practice better? How can I get the assistants around me to do things better? All of it is a trial by fire learning process that you improve upon. One of the biggest pieces that matches the framework of this season is we started the season 0-2, and then we went on to win 8 of the next 10, and we didn't let those 2 games define the rest of our season. So all of the things that you work in the off season, all the messaging, all the things that you keep them accountable about, all the things that you try to get them to go at a high level. You are 0-2 in a situation. Right now, we just came off of a tough loss, and you don't let that dictate the performances that are coming ahead. So you stay the course, you maintain your messaging, you continue to hold them to a high accountability level, and just continue to go. It worked out for us last year. Just like Coach says, we improved every single day, worried about us. Again, won 8 of the next 10 in that window. But the biggest piece is we were an 0-2 team. We went to face Maryland, who was a 2-0 team playing at a really high level. We didn't worry about external circumstances, and we played at a really high level in that situation. So that was one of the biggest lessons, to give you a tangible example of what I learned. Wasn't in my feelings, didn't worry about it, just went on to the next week and let's go. How do I individually improve as a coach? How do I get my position group to improve? And how do I get the defense at a really high level to continue to move forward?
Heading into the season, the front four may have been the least experienced segment of your defense. As they've gained experience, have you seen a marked improvement from that group?
Yeah, you have. And then again, we've seen a big mix just with the depth chart of guys moving in and out of waiting. That's another position. There may not be 4 or 5 snaps in a row where the same individual is still in. If they get to an earned first down or the drive extends at all, we're waving the other humans in. If it gets to the second and third series, we're waving other players in so they can continue to play fast. So again, there's not one player that has just had an elite game. There's a collection and a group of players that, to our point earlier with the linebackers, we're trying to play really, 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 really hard for a short amount of time, give it all, and then we wave the next group in. But yeah, experience is lacking there. Now we've got a 3-game window. We've gone into a bye week. There's things that they have obviously need to improve, correct. Now they've had a chance to do that, so I expect them to continue to improve and play at a high level, and maybe they're going to play their best at game 4 moving forward.
You know,
Go ahead.
When it, you remember kind of when it dawned on you that you guys would be going back up there after you were hired here, and kind of what your reaction was to that?
Sure. I wouldn't choose that if I could choose it, but yeah, if I had a choice, I wouldn't choose to schedule the place we just left. We have a bunch of deeply invested relationships, but we're here. We're here, and it's the next phase. And good Lord, it sounds like Coach speak, and it just, I'm sure you get just tired of the ad nauseum and us regurgitating the same thing. But you have to really do it as a coach, and then as a football coach, and in these seasons, it becomes just a 1 day at a time and a 1 week at a time mentality. And we had thought of once the season started, we've been concerned about those 3 games, and then now it's here, so we can finally worry about Temple. You asked about the initial reaction. Yeah, maybe there's a more reaction in the off season. Now we're here. I know those guys, and I think they probably have the same feeling. We're going to get on the field, and we're going to compete. We're going to worry about each other. And just the piece of that, I'm wrong as a coach. I have the wrong intentions as a coach if I don't have deeply invested relationships with those guys at Temple still. You turn on the film and you look at their linebacking core. When I got there as a coach, I had a group of sophomore and freshmen. They are now in a single-digit culture. They are now number 3, number 4, number 5, and then the backup is number 8. All of those guys I've been stuck in a room with for 2 straight years, and we invested a bunch of time together. I think in a year or 2, all 4 of those guys are going to have an opportunity to go play at the NFL. When they do that, I can't wait to call them, tell them I love them and how proud of them. And I know, I'm convicted that I'll get those same responses. Love you, Coach. I appreciate everything you've done for me. So you invest all that time in them. I say that to say that now that we're here, if I'm in this profession for the right season, I'm doing the exact same thing with my players here, right? And when we get on that field, it is going to be a competitive scenario, and everybody's going to only be worried about their sideline, what they're doing, what the scheme is, what the play is, how hard you're playing, how you're executing, your discipline, and that's all you're worried about in those moments. When we finish the battle, it's not going to be the NFL. We're not going to be swapping jerseys. I'm going to go hug their neck and tell them I'm proud of them, no matter the result. For us or for them, we'll tell them I love them and hug their neck, and then we can move forward, and I can have a normal conversation with them now that we're outside of a competitive situation.
Kelly, last one right here.
Two things. One, what do you see in terms of differences in what they're doing offensively and the philosophy and that sort of thing? And then also, Russo's a guy with a big arm, makes plays. I guess how much can you take away from what you know about his abilities and the limited amount of film you have on Temple so far?
I think you just know the physical capacities of the kids. Outside of that, you're matching up. Hey, what does Rod carry in that organization? What are they trying to do schematically? And we've watched all offseason. We watched had a chance to watch their Northern Illinois film. A lot of it does carry over, but like any offensive coordinator, they are accentuating what they do well personnel-wise. And Anthony Russo can spin it as good as anybody in the country. He has as good of arm strength as anybody. We'll see. Some of that dude can play for Clemson. But, that being said, I think you know their physical abilities. The receivers, who they're featuring, Isaiah Wrights, Brendan Max, we know things about them physically. But again, we're worried about us and how can we match our scheme up against what they're doing well. So outside of having a better observation or better explanation as to their physical strengths and how to tackle them, or how to press the pocket, or how to match the throwing hand, or how to cover certain guys, outside of that, we're worried about, hey, this is what they do well, this is what we're trying to take away as a defense. This is where we can exploit them with the weaknesses that they have, which is what we do every single week with every single opponent.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.